Well, all right, we saw Justin Fields put on an interesting performance. Not one where he was doing a lot. They definitely weren't letting him just loose, which I think is maybe a good idea because he was able to make some plays that really worked and did a good job protecting the football as well. So I think this was a good performance by Justin Fields and really did make some nice throws as well when he had the opportunity. So yeah, I'm going to get into it, the good and the bad. It started off with some not so good, to be honest. The first few plays for Fields was a bit sloppy, to say the least, and almost perfectly describes Fields as a player through this point in his career. So first you see a fumbled snap, which is just funny at this point. I mean, it was a thing all throughout, the preseason. If he kept fumbling these snaps, and a lot of people were saying, is it his fault? Is it the center's fault? A lot of discussions going on. But either way, it kept happening with him out there for whatever reason. Might just be coincidence, but okay, not the best thing. Hey, you gained 3 yards somehow on it, so I guess you get that, but it's something you'd like to improve upon. After that, this play happened on a 2nd and 7 where he's kind of getting flushed out and just makes a bit of an off throw. I think he might have been expecting the receiver to cut more over the middle of the field, but either way, definitely one he'd like to have back there. Then after that, on the 3rd down, they don't get the playoff in time. They have to take a timeout, so it's like, oh man, what's going on with Justin Fields? Is this just going to be a disaster? Of course, not having as many first-team reps, you're going to have some of these issues, but having them this many this quickly is concerning. But then 3rd down and 7 comes around, and you can take a sigh of relief a bit, where first, something like this, you see how the Falcons are showing as though they're blitzing, but they're not going to be blitzing. Instead, you have a zone coverage concept. It's a quarters coverage. So they're going to drop back in the coverage. But here's the interesting thing. Because you have players showing that they're blitzing, but then dropping back, you see how when it happens, they kind of have to quickly get back to where they want to be, meaning they're not fully focused on Fields the way they would have been had they just started back. So right here, they're now noticing it, but it took a little bit longer, which really, Fields is going to notice this stuff. He uses his legs as a weapon. That's like another receiver on the field, essentially, with Fields having the ball in his hands. As you see, does a really good job at getting forward, being able to pick up a good amount of yards. I mean, this is good stuff from Fields. And again, this is the stuff that I feel see from Fields is, like, say what you want about him. Whether you think he's a player that works in the NFL or doesn't work in the NFL, he can use his legs. There's no argument there, and it's a massive benefit. Also, you had some really nice throws. I mean, I guess another thing you can say is he can make some really nice throws as well. I think there's always been the consistency criticism, which is, I think, at times fair, at times unfair. But something like this is just really impressive. It's a zone coverage play, but really it's a one-on-one matchup on the outside with A.J. Terrell and with George Pickens. So, usually when you have Pickens one-on-one, you throw it. Usually when A.J. Terrell is one-on-one, you don't throw it. But, I think they're going to kind of say, let's trust our guy here. You see Fields takes the snap. That's what he's going to do. It's not like it's wide open or anything. This is just let's trust my guy can win on this 3rd down and 9. Because also, it's not the worst time in the world to take a chance. 3rd down and 9 at midfield. It's a good decision, I would say, by Fields. And it's also just a great throw and a great catch, and I guess an offensive pass interference penalty that was called on Pickens. It's not offensive pass interference. I mean, he pushed him a little bit, but you're allowed to push him a little bit. It has to be significant. That's in the rules. It wasn't significant. That's not a penalty. Like, not only in my opinion, I just think by letter of the law, it's not a penalty. But still, again, evaluating the performance, very good throw there from Fields. And these are the kind of things that you're hopeful that he can do. If, for however long he needs to start, this is good. Also, this play, we have to talk about the end of the half situation. Definitely one where if you're a Falcons fan, you're thinking, how did we let this happen? There's 9 seconds left. But worth noting, the Steelers do have 2 timeouts left. And I think this is something that back in the day, no team would ever go for trying to get points in this situation. I mean, I think famously John Madden in the Super Bowl that Brady won his first Super Bowl win, there was like a minute and a half and they're at their own 20 and John Madden's like, just play for overtime. That used to be the mindset. Now 9 seconds left, they're still going for it. Makes sense though, because Falcons are going to be in a cover 2 zone. You have Pickens running a deep shot. And also, if we're bringing up history, it was a different game, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But you're just moving on. Let's see what happens on this play. Fields takes a snap. He's going to first look towards his left, but then gets all the way over to Pickens, who I think that was by design to not show what he's doing. But still, I mean, he has to, it's good footwork to get all the way over there, makes this throw. And you see by Pickens, look at how open he is. Quite frankly, this is not great stuff by Jesse Bates. I mean, there's only one guy in your area. You have to be more aware, but you got to give credit to Pickens, right? He's running the route well. Fields makes this throw, and Pickens staying in bounds, which was just a mistake. And also, the Falcons player pushes Pickens out of bounds. Had he just grabbed him and kept him in bounds, just for an extra second, I think Pickens actually stepped out a little bit before, so it wouldn't have mattered. But you don't know that. Just some weird decisions going around. But for Fields, this is definitely good stuff, and also a great route by Pickens. This play was another good one. I mean, again, it's kind of turning into a George Pickens highlight reel, but I mean, at the same time, if you're quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, your highlight reel should be a George Pickens highlight reel. Like, that's kind of the situation. You have Pickens in a one-on-one situation right here. There are 2 safeties deep, but the safety on his side of the field isn't going to pick him up. So when Fields takes a snap, he's looking over there. He sees this, so he notices, oh, wait, one-on-one down the field, Pickens, and the defensive back isn't even playing it out as though, like, well, I have to make sure I don't get beat deep here. So because of that, this is absolutely a correct decision by Fields, and I also really love this throw. Watch how Fields is going to understand the leverage and throw it a little bit towards the inside. Pickens kind of went a little bit closer towards the sideline. I'm not sure exactly why Pickens did that, but then Pickens made up for it by making it an unbelievable catch. So, to me, I think that was a good throw, actually, by Fields, given the information he had when he got rid of the ball. And it resulted in a big gain. I can't show the whole thing for copyright reasons, but, it was a big gain. They were able to gain a ton of yards and get back in field goal range because, of course, it was field goal range given the way this game was going. But again, I mean, this stuff, it's really good stuff. Understanding when your best receiver is open, putting the ball in a catchable spot, and letting them do the rest of the work. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, this was a good performance by Fields. It really was. And I think that if you're a Steelers fan, again, who knows how long Wilson is going to be out. I don't know if this is enough for Fields to earn the starting job necessarily, but like, I don't think it's crazy to go back to him. I really don't. I think he did well. And at the very least, if you are going back to Wilson, it's because you like Wilson more, right? Which is a good situation to be in. If you do decide to make that choice, it would be because you say, well, I think this guy gives us an even better chance to win. Not like, oh man, this guy sucks. Like, we got to get our starter in there. And if Wilson does come in and have a bad game or two, you could say, well, we got this other guy who could be good. So I think it's a good situation. And hey, you compare this to like Green Bay, who, is kind of like, okay, are you going to go with Malik Willis? What are you doing here? For the Steelers, sometimes your quarterbacks get injured, and having another good option is how you can find ways to win the game. So, really good job. Big win for them against the Atlanta Falcons. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.